This is a Jmix exclusive.
Would you like to tell us how you got started at Death Row?
Okay, I came out to California as a keyboard player for another artist that was like a local artist out of Wisconsin, but I'm originally from Illinois, Carbondale, Illinois. But that artist didn't make it out there, and the people who brought him out there, they found out that I can produce, so they had me going around to all the labels trying to get me a production deal. During the course of that, they got indicted, which left me out in California by myself. And I had one more meeting to go to. Didn't have any money left. I went to this meeting. It was with Warner Brothers, where they sat and listened to, typical, listen to your demo, tell you the typical A&R stuff. They didn't really hear nothing or didn't really say too much positive stuff about it, but played a lot of material that they was working on. I left that meeting trying to figure out what I was going to do. So I went to Lakewood Mall, which while I was there, I ran into Suge and his entourage. I guess it was the funeral for his friend that got killed was that day, Jake. So they were all at the mall they were all in suits. So I guess they were going to buy some clothes, some regular clothes. So I happened to have the demo tape on me, walked up to him. My actual words to him were, I can get with your boy Dre. And I just gave him the demo and walked away, thinking nothing of it, like, okay, that was just a long shot, but it's done. About 15, 20 minutes later, one of the dudes that was with you came up to me and was like, man, he listened to your tape, man, he wanna holler at you real quick. So I went up to him. He asked me a couple of questions, like where was I from, what was I doing out there. Then he told me to come to the studio that night, which was Can-Am. So that got me in the door at Can-Am. And the night that I was there, they had a big production meeting with all the producers, Quick, Daz, Dre, Demetrius, Ship, I don't know if you know him, we call him Meech, a few other people, Superfly. And Suge used me as an example in that meeting of being hungry, because I guess he felt like they weren't hungry no more because they had a little success. And after the meeting, he walked up to me and was like, you want to be down? And I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, this is what you need to do. Go up to the office, get your paperwork right, pick up a check, and put you up in a hotel. That's from that day on, I was down with the company.
Can you tell us about the Whack Room and why it was called that?
Okay, the day that actually started going to the studio, which is Can-Am, there was a room that you would, it was kind of like a storage room where they put like, broken equipment. Every studio has one of these rooms where they just got like throwaway equipment and stuff like that. That room would be today the equivalent of a pre-production room. Only thing it had in there was a drum machine, a keyboard, and a little mixer. In that room, her and Bad was working in that room, is Tyrone, and another guy, D. Harper, the two guys that were behind the Machiavelli album. They were working out of that room. Tyrone was dope. Tyrone was incredible from the jump. Harper, we call him Daryl Harper, he was an R&B dude that kind of lost his place at the label. Because, he's like real old school R&B dude. So in order to stay around and keep up, he had to learn how to do hip-hop. His hip-hop wasn't that good yet. So his sound coming out of the room was not the best. Actually, the room itself was whack. It was just a whack room. There wasn't nothing in it. It wasn't that the people in there were whack. It was the room. Now, I had a meeting with Suge about the room and about upgrading and getting a lot of equipment in there. So he told me what kind of equipment I told him what kind of equipment I needed. He said, okay, good. Write it up, put together a list, and I'm gonna have the studio manager buy everything that y'all need. And he said, matter of fact, we're gonna call that room. Nobody knows this part. we're going to call that room the money room, because this is where the new money for Death Row is going to come from. And he said, we're going to get a green carpet put in the room with a dollar emblem, a big dollar sign in the middle of the room. So this was going to be the new room where all the money was coming from. It might have been a little jealousy created coming out of that little situation right there, because all of a sudden this room was fully equipped with a whole bunch of new guys working in it that wasn't a part of the different cliques that were inside the studio. So the whole whack room thing, it got taken out of proportion in that double XL thing, that it was just whack people in the room and whack music coming out of the room. It was a bigger picture than that.
And that's where the bulk of the Machiavelli album was made, right?
That's where the Machiavelli album was made. That's where the sound was developed. See, the sound coming out of that room, I was from Chicago area, you know Carbondale is, but we're connected to Chicago mentally for some reason.
Absolutely, yeah.
So me coming from the Midwest, Herdenbach was from the Midwest. D.D. Harp, he was from Illinois, but Danny Boy worked out of that room a lot. Did a lot of his pre-production in that room. So it was like that room was full of Chicago area people or Midwest area people. So we were developing a new sound. That's also why I should call it the new money room, because we were trying to develop a new sound. We wasn't trying to be the Dog Pound. We wasn't trying to be the sound that Dre had with his camper producers. We were working on something new, because we were a big label. We were like Motown. It's like a factory.
Heard him bad talk briefly on Snoop being jealous on not being the main headliner once Tupac came to Death Row. Did you ever experience that firsthand?
You know what? I never experienced no jealousy amongst Snoop being, jealous toward Pac. He would have to further elaborate on why he felt that way, because maybe he seen something that I didn't see or heard something that I didn't hear about, but I didn't see it that way. Because, they were like brothers. Snoop and Pac were like brothers.
Did you ever see any of the rumored punishments that went down in Death Row?
All the time. And I would have to say this. None of it wasn't like, if it happened to somebody, it's because they were doing something. It was their fault. Either you say you're a producer and you come in and you're bragging on your skills and, or you done stole somebody else's material and you're bringing it in, something's going to happen to you, If you were, say, a celebrity, big celebrity name comes through the studio and you were just hanging around like a groupie, something's going to happen to you. It was more like that. It wasn't just everybody getting picked on, everybody getting beat up for some crazy reason, that just was unwarranted.
The first beat that you got to Tupac was the instrumental for the track M.o.b. Can you share with us how that got to Tupac and how you first met him?
Okay, I would have to credit Herdenbach actually making that situation happen, because, like I said, when I got there were a lot of things that I had a little bit more experience in the music business, or understand the music business, than everybody else around. Herdenbach, they was working out of that room, but they really wasn't shopping their material with anybody in the studio. They were like still developing it, but they wasn't giving it to Snoop or whoever. So when I got there, I'm like, okay, Pac's in the back room. They were like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, why aren't y'all giving them the material? Do y'all material? Nobody had an answer. So I was like, okay, cool. I sat down. I made like 2 beats. And I was like, 2 beats, let me sweeten up the pot. Let me make a 3rd beat. The 3rd beat was the m.o.b. beat. So I just made that real quick, and it was real natural, because me being from the Midwest, this was a sound I like. I like the Tupac, Death Around the Corner. You know that song? From Me Against the World album? Like, that's one of my favorite Tupac songs. I just like how he wrote that beat. So I made a beat similar to that beat, drum pattern wise. And that was the third beat. I actually thought he was gonna pick the first beat I made, which was more Death Row West Coast kind of beat. You understand? So I just said, I'm going back there. No, I tried to go by procedure. I gave it to the studio manager to give 2pac. And like a week went by, didn't hear anything. I thought he didn't like none of the music. Heard him back, came to me and said, man, you know that tape that you gave that guy, didn't take it back to Pac. He said it was garbage. He said it sounded like a bunch of toys. He said it pretty much was like, that was whack music. I'm not even going to give this to Pac. So I was like, wow.
Do you feel that that's because you were a new producer, that there was a little jealousy there?
Yeah, it was definitely jealousy because he wanted to be a producer, but he wasn't good enough. So in order to stay around, Suge made him the manager of the studio. So his job was to exactly that, manage the studio, set up studio time for everybody, make sure everybody is catered to. Like, if you're a producer, what do you need? That was his job, and he hated that. So here I am, this new dude just come in. I'm instantly going at the biggest star on the label with music, which was, like I said, nobody else was doing this. So heard him back, told me where the tape was. I went and got the tape, walked it back there myself. Pac looked at me, I gave him, I said, man, here goes some beats on here. And he was real humble. Like, that's one thing I noticed about him. Like, he was real humble. He was like, oh, man, thanks. Thanks a lot, man, thanks. And I was like, oh, no problem. That's what I'm supposed to do. And I walked out the room, and actually, I left the studio. I went to go get something to eat. Maybe an hour later, I come back to the studio. Everybody in the studio is looking at me different. Like, people are quiet. I see people whispering. I don't know what the hell is going on. Heard him back, comes up to me, and he's like, man, Pac's looking for you. I'm like, wow, okay, what the hell is Pac looking for me for? You know what I mean? Then I heard, like, he picked the beat, which I actually didn't know which beat it was. He had left the studio that night by the time I got back. The next night, I come in the studio, he's sitting on the couch with, like, these, like, 3 girls on him. And he just laid back chilling. He's like, man, what's up? You the one did that beat, right? I was like, yeah, you remember? He's like, yeah, man, what's up with that beat? I'm like, what beat you talking about? He's like, the gangster beat. And I'm like, what gangster? Which one? And it was all gangster to me. And he's like, the third one. I'm like, what, the third one? I was like, you like that one? He's like, yeah, what's up with that beat? I was like, okay, give me till Monday. I'll get it back. I'll get it to you. Because I wanted to, like I said, I just threw that shit together in like 15 minutes. So I wanted to, like, beef it up and fully produce it and get it to exactly the way I wanted it. But I didn't understand the way he works. Like, if he wants that beat, he wants that beat now. So I told him, like, okay, let's get back. Because he gave me this look when I said Monday. Like, oh, my you want that beat. So I was like, let me get this shit together. And I said, like, give me like 15 minutes. So he had the session already set up because he was working with, I think his name is Mike Mosley.
Yeah.
The producer who did I'd Rather Be Your N. What was that song?
I'd Rather Be an Nigga with Richie Rich?
Yeah. He had just recorded that because Richie Rich was in the studio. So when I went in there, Mike Mosley was in there, Richie Rich was in there, you know, the Outlaws was in there, and Pac was ready to do an M.o.b., which he didn't even have a title for it yet. I mean, he didn't even have a song. And the crazy story behind that was the keyboard that I was using wasn't capable of syncing up to the tape machines to track the beat out. So we was like 35, 40 minutes trying to figure out how to get this damn song on tape. And Pac was sitting there smoking a blunt, like, just giving me this evil look, like, if you don't have this shit done in 25 minutes, or like 25 seconds, you know what I mean? So then the engineer came to me and was like, look, we're just going to 2-track this motherfucker and let him do what he need to do, and then we're going to come back and work on the beat. I'm like, cool. That dude was Rick Clifford, which me and him developed a friendship, and we still cool to this day. He's the one that mixed All Eyes on Me. But we loaded up the beat, man, and Pac sat there, said this was going to be called M.o.b., and wrote out his verse, went in there and did it, and was like, looking at the Outlaw like, y'all motherfuckers ain't ready yet. But what's the one? Fatal went there and did his verse, and the rest of them followed suit. m.o.b was on there at the end, and that's how that studio session went. Now, also, what people don't know is that was supposed to be on the album, All Eyes on Me. There's 14 songs on the first set, and there was supposed to be 14 songs on the second set, which was going to be like book 1, book 2. 14 songs on book 1, 14 songs on book 2. If you look at the album, there's 14 songs on one, 13 songs on another, on the next one. m.o.b. is the missing song off of All Eyes on Me, because that studio manager like completely screwed me on the mix date and didn't let me know that they were mixing the album. I kept coming to him like, okay, when y'all gonna be mixing the album? What's up with this? And he was like throwing me off to the point where when it was time, it was too late. And then the reel disappeared. I forgot about the fucking reel had disappeared. They couldn't find it. I remember Johnny J was asking me like, where the hell is this reel at? So they had to go without m.o.b. on the album, and they never replaced it with another song.
Now, what do you think the biggest misconception about Tupac was that people have? Was he gang related?
At the end, yeah, he was blood. He was m.o.b. He was mob.
Did you witness the Sam Snead beatdown?
Yeah, I was right there in front of Sam Snead when he got beat down, that was crazy day, a crazy evening. I mean, because I had seen, this is something that nobody else knows. This is a bomb. This is an exclusive. I seen Sam Snead when he came into the little area where we were eating, like a little kitchen area in K&M, and he was sitting there talking to Pac, and he told Pac that he had a beat for him. And Pac was like, oh, okay, cool, homie. Like, it was no problem. You know what I mean? But once we got in that meeting, it was a different atmosphere. It was crazy because at the time, nobody even knew Dre had left Death Row. It was all exposed in that meeting. And that's when I was like, wow, this is real. This is for real around here. Because, you know, they had Sam Snead in there. They started playing the video that he had that had like a lot of New York people in the video.
Yeah.
I know Wu-Tang was in the video. I can't remember everybody else who was in the video. But after the video, they was like, shit was like, Rage, was you in the video? She's like, no. Daz, Crump, was you in the video? They're like, no. Snoop, was you in the video? No. Pac, was you in the video? No. Then it's like, Sam Snead, are you on Death Row Records? He was like, yeah. And he's like, why is there no Death Row Records people in your video? You know what I mean? And it just went downhill from that point for Sam Snead.
Do you think that they were targeting Sam Snead because they couldn't get it Dre at that particular moment?
At that particular moment, yeah, because it went, like I said, it started going down. Yeah, it went to Ray. Do you got any tracks from Sam Snead? She was like, no. Such and such. Do you got any tracks from Sam Snead? And somebody was like, well, he said he would charge me for some tracks, and it was like, Sam, you're on Death Row Records. What are you charging Death Row artists for tracks? You know what I mean? And it was kind of weird to me. I was like, Pac, I swear I just heard this dude tell you that, you know, in my head, I was like, Pac, I know Sam Snead told you he got music for you, but in the meeting, Pac never brought that up. So I knew at that point there's nothing Sam Snead can say or do to change the outcome of what was going to happen. And then it went into questions about Dre and Dre being gay, and, you know, like I said, it was downhill from that point.
Can you tell us about the phone call that was made to Dre?
Oh, yeah, this was crazy because Miss LA said that she had called Dre at the house and had Bruce, who, you know, I think Bruce even wrote that book, Rolling with Dr. Dre. The Bruce guy, from my understanding, was a stripper. And that's what they got to be talking about in the meeting. Like, what dude goes to a strip club and sees a male stripper and starts hanging with him? So it was like all these things about Dre's manhood started being questioned, and then Michelle A came with the story that Dre was actually in the bed with Bruce. She called Dre, and Bruce answered the phone, and she was like, "Where are you?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm in bed." And she's like, "Where's my husband?" And he like gave her the phone. Gave Dre the phone. Dre was like, "What's up?" And it was like, the question was like, "What the f*** are they doing in the bed together?" These are the stories that were coming out of people's mouths, you know what I'm saying, at that meeting.
In reference to that, what was Trevon Lane, Neckbone, and Buntree's role at Death Row? Were they artists? Were they on the payroll?
Now, they were like, those are Suge's homies, you know what I'm saying? Those are people that Suge trusted, that he had around him from the neighborhood. And they were like the coolest people in the world, you know what I mean? Like, you would not, they were the coolest dudes you can ever be around. You wouldn't even think they were gangbangers. I mean, these dudes were like, man, we come to the studio, they would joke, they would hang with us. You know, they would hang in the room, the so-called whack room. Neckbone, Buntree, Trey, they'll be in that room with us. But they all had Death Row chains, you know.
What was the atmosphere after Trevon Lane's necklace was stolen?
You know, when that took place, nobody knew about it. You know what I mean? I don't even know when that actually happened, because it wasn't nobody going around talking about that.
Was it common knowledge that there was a bounty on the Death Row chain?
Yeah, that was common knowledge there was a bounty on Death Row chains. We kind of like all stayed together. When we did go places, we moved together because you did not want to be caught by yourself at that point in time out in L.A. We're being a part of Death Row Records, because there was a lot of street animosity because of certain things that happened out in the streets and at Death Row events where people got stomped out, you know, beat up. So there were bounties.
It's debated on whether that bounty came from Puffy or was it just a street beef with the Rolling 60 Crips.
I don't think Puffy would have the nerve. Somebody's calling my line. Puffy wouldn't have the nerve to put a bounty on anybody from Death Row, or even, that definitely wasn't it. This was like some real street dudes that like put a bounty out on Death Row chains, or anybody from Death Row, pretty much.
Would you care to tell us a little bit about Cabo San Lucas? Did you get to go on that trip when Tupac got out of jail?
Oh yeah, we well, not everybody, but yeah, we went to Cabo. This was actually, the Cabo trip was actually in celebration of Snoop getting acquitted. You know, for the murder trial. That was a reason for going to Cabo. It was really to celebrate that. And while we were out there, we were going to shoot Danny Boy's Slip and Slide video, which we did shoot that video. And what else did you need to know about that?
I just wanted to know if you would tell the story on the boat with David Kenner. I can lead into it. What was your opinion of David Kenner?
Oh man, David Kenner was like this. He was like a cartoon character. He was like the little mouse. You know what I mean? Like the little mischievous mouse looking dude. You know what I'm saying? His presence when he came in the room was like a mobster, like he worked for the mob or something. But actually he was the coolest, you know, the coolest dude around. He didn't talk much, you know, but you know, I got a chance to be around David Kenner a lot because he did my contracts. But like I said, Kenner was like this quiet little mobster, little mousy looking dude.
Were you jumped in?
Yeah, okay. The whole situation with the mob, I was jumped into the mob in Cabo, San Lucas, which was like the craziest night ever. Because that also was a night I seen somebody get what they call the death row violation for something that they did that I prided myself on not doing, which was, there's certain things you got to know. You got to know how to maneuver around in situations like this to not get yourself involved in a lot of bad events or things that can happen to you. I talked to you about this before. Like, we had an artist that was hanging around us, and we told him, like, okay, just stay around us. Don't try to become a groupie. Don't be hanging around. Don't go hang around another clique of people just because you're trying to get up around Snoop or get around Pac. Allow these people to naturally gravitate towards you, because it's noticed if you're going to be that type of person. And if something was to happen, it's going to happen to you first, because you're being a groupie, and people don't know you, and you need to just know what you're doing. Like, when celebrities come around, sometimes I wouldn't even go to the studio. Like, if, say, Mary J. Blige was at the studio, I wouldn't go to the studio just because Mary J. Blige is there, and especially if I didn't have nothing to do. If I was there to record or to work on some material, I would do it, but I wouldn't go there just to hang because she's there, because, believe it or not, people notice that, should notice that, and that was one of the biggest things, like, don't be a male groupie. I had a friend that, I guess, he was always up in studio sessions, and he was there with us that night in Cabo. So the night that I got jumped in the mob, they took him in a different room, and it was like Pac, Hammer, and a whole bunch of people there, and I was like, what the are they doing to him? You know what I'm saying? Like, and once he, later on that night we talked, and I told him what happened to me. I said, dude, I just got pretty much tested. Like, let me test and see if this dude's a punk or not. You know what I mean? And it was like, after that night, Suge told me, like, if you have any problem, you come straight to me. Like, you're in. It was like some mobster, like, you're in now. You know what I mean? And I said, like, what happened with you? And he's like, man, they was like saying I was a groupie, that I was up in people's faces and this and that, and this and that. And I'm like, wow. I said, what happened though? He's like, man, they had Danny Boy like try to beat me up, like his own friend. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, that was a crazy night, but also was a learning experience to know what to do and what not to do. And I guess I was being tested the whole time that I was at the studio and had been coming to Can-Am, and it led up to that night where he's in and this dude's kind of out. And I've had a perfect relationship with Suge ever since then. I would always go to him for anything.
A lot of people say that Tupac was scared of Suge Knight. Did you ever experience that?
Hell no. They talk just like, man, they talk like brothers. They was wrestle, headlock each other, you know what I mean? There's no way, I wasn't scared of shit like that, you know what I mean? You gotta understand, shit was not that way around everybody. He's a fearsome dude, but I'm like, this little dude, you don't get no points for beating me up. You know what I'm saying? So I knew that he wouldn't personally do nothing to me because it did serve no purpose. Then why would he be afraid of Suge? Why would Pac be afraid of Suge?
Do you think that well, let me rephrase that. What is the biggest misconception you think that people have about Tupac? Were there issues in the studio to where there were times you didn't want to be around him?
Near the end, it got kind of wild, you know what I mean? And I think that comes with power. Like I said, once, I have to use myself as an example. Once I felt I was in the circle of the power circle, I call it, of like the untouchables. Once I felt like I was one of the untouchables, I began to maneuver a different way at the studio. I was more boastful. I was more like, like, oh, okay, you ain't gonna do this? Hold on, let me make a phone call. It was one of those type of situations. And even out in public, it was like, you would talk to somebody, and it would be like, okay, I'm with Death Row, and it was like that person's silent. That's power. Now, could you imagine that power with Pac, and he had never had that kind of power before? It can go through your head, and you'll start doing things and acting a certain way because you can. And until you've had that kind of power, you don't understand what it does to you mentally, and how it takes you and you become another person. Because if it started affecting me, it definitely had to affect him. And it became like he was the type of person that I didn't want to be around all the time, because there's no telling which Pac would show up, especially with the amount of drinking that people did at the studio. We had liquor everywhere. There was Cristal, there was drinks pouring, it was a party atmosphere at Can-Am every night. And every night, everybody was leaving pissy drunk. Anything can happen. So in that environment, you would want to be there every night.
A lot of people don't know that you were staying at Suge's house in Vegas when Tupac was shot. Can you tell us about that day?
Oh, okay. What the actual that let me tell you how the whole day went. The whole day was a crazy day. We all started out at Suge's house in Compton. We all met up there, put it like that. Heard him back. Yeah, me and Heard him back. We got there about the same time. Me, Heard him back, Danny Boy, and when Pac showed up, he showed Heard him back like crazy love. Like, he kept saying Machiavelli Records in the house. This was my first time hearing Machiavelli Records. But he was like really promoting Machiavelli Records.
Do you think that was a solo venture, or was that going to be under Death Row?
That was going to be distributed through Death Row. It was going to be Machiavelli, Death Row Records. Probably, who was the main distributor at the time?
Was it Priority?
MCA. No, it was like MCA, which was under, I can't remember what umbrella that was under. Universal? MCA Universal? I believe it was something like that. Because MCA, a lot of people don't know, Death Row was going to take over the whole black music division of MCA Records, which had Aaron Hall, Bobby Brown, Christopher Williams, Mary J. Blige, Jodeci were all under MCA. And that's why all these people were up at the studio all the time. Like, a lot of people don't know that. These people, they were at the studio all the time. Aaron Hall, Christopher Williams, even Bobby Brown was hanging around. So on our way to, we all got together, which was mainly the blood side. It was mainly the mob. So we were going to Vegas. I noticed that Pac was listening to Nas, because I don't know, anybody that knows about the trip from California to Vegas. There's this open 20-mile stretch of road straight ahead, just desert, just a straightaway. You know what I mean? And we were kind of like getting ready to do this little race, like we're going to get there first. And I remember Castro was with us, and he rolled down the window to ask Pac something. When he rolled down the window, I noticed Pac was listening to Nas. And we were riding pretty much side by side with Pac to Vegas. Kadada was driving, and he was just studying Nas's CD, which kind of goes into the thing that Pac really, had peace with Nas. And that was an example that was true, because he was studying him. It was no, that was on a Friday when he was supposed to have met up with Nas in New York, and they made peace. So Saturday he was definitely checking out his material. But we get to Vegas. Damon Thomas had crashed back on the straightaway, and he had the DAT tape with for the fight thing. That's how we found out that he had crashed out somewhere. He flipped the Lamborghini. At the hotel, we all getting ready, Pac is his normal self. But on the way, it was kind of like there was some tension at the gas station that I noticed, that Pac was like upset with some fans that it was like either it said something to him or wanted to take some pictures or something. But it was just like a weird tension. I'd never seen Pac get that animated and that mad. That's what I was talking about. Like, there were times when he was, like, out of control, and we had to calm him down.
And this was just on fans approaching him?
Yeah, it was like some school kids. Actually, it was like they were on a school bus. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like, what the fuck did somebody say to him that pissed him off to that point? You know what I mean? I must have said something about I like Biggie or something. I don't know what the fuck they must have said. But I mean, like, he was furious. And that's what I mean. Like, there was this power thing. You know, you start to notice it. You know what I mean? Like, it can get to your head. You start becoming somebody other than yourself. Compared to the Pac that I met just getting out of prison, was real humble, you know, low-key, soft-spoken dude. And I've seen him doing a lot of nice stuff for people. But the last time I actually seen Pac alive was once we got to the hotel, we went to the Luxor, and he was animated about changing clothes or something, and like, he jumped in a cab and took off and went somewhere. I don't know where the hell he went, but you know, I was tripping off that. I was like, damn, this dude's a mega star. He didn't jump in a limo. He jumped in a cab. You know what I mean? But he was that type of dude. Like, he was still himself a lot. You know, like, the way he dressed, like, he carried a pocket full of everything in his pocket. Like, his pocket would be, like, packed with plenty shit.
You talk about a car wreck. What happened with that?
Oh, that was like I said, we were on the road to Vegas. It's this straightaway that's like, seemed like it's like 20 miles of just straight ahead. So everybody decided, like, who's gonna get there first? Everybody just started hitting it. We started doing 100 and 100 whatever. You know what I mean? Depending on what kind of car you was in, you would do 150, 160. And out of nowhere, we hit this patch of rain, which was crazy as hell. Like, it was this weird shit happening all day. We hit this patch of rain, and everybody was kind of like losing control of the cars, and, you know, everybody got it together, and then everybody looked around, you know, check and see if everybody was okay and everybody cool. Then we just, you know, head to Vegas. Nobody noticed that Damon Thomas was missing, but he was in a Lamborghini, so everybody figured like he was gone. But Damon had flipped his Lamborghini, and we found out once we were in Vegas that this dude was in the hospital f***ed up. But somebody had to go get the DAT tape for the fight, to play for the Mike Tyson fight. So that was the situation with Damon Thomas. As we know, Damon Thomas from the Underdogs, which we know Damon Thomas, the assassin. He had to use that name, Assassin, because I believe he had a publishing deal with Babyface or something like that. So he went under a different name while he was working with us at Death Row.
Were you able to make it to the fight that night?
No, we missed the fight. Didn't really care about going to the fight. Was really more interested in going to the club, because that was going to be a big thing at the club that night. So we were like, you know, f*** the fight, getting dressed. We was running late. And we was like, we could sit with everybody at the club. And once we got to the club, security came and told me, Danny Boy, and somebody else that was with us that Suge and Pac got shot. Keep it quiet, you know, like, don't let everybody know. So, shit, we found out where they were at. We headed straight to the hospital. We couldn't go see Pac because he was being operated on, but we went straight up to Suge's room, and he was, like, laying in the hospital bed. He had, like, his head bandaged up. You know, he was real, like, down, like deep in his thoughts, you know what I'm saying? He just kept saying, man, I think Pac is fucked up, Pac is fucked up. But then at the same time, he tried to be, you know, everybody was getting, like, this weary, super depressed looks on their face and this attitude, and he tried to cheer everybody up. So, you know, she'll try to brighten up the night, but it, you know, it couldn't be brightened up from that point. And, you know, I was at the hospital like every day up until Wednesday with Afeni, and I remember the doctors coming telling Afeni that they were going to put him in a medically induced coma. And I figured that everything would be cool after that, because they said the problem was he kept fighting to I don't know, just the doctor, he kept fighting to wake up or come out of, I don't know what the situation was, but they said they had to keep him calm, you know, to allow his body time or whatever it needed to, and plus whatever they were doing, they needed to keep it at a certain pace.
What was that
So once
atmosphere? What was that atmosphere at the hospital? Did people think that he was going to pull through? Or?
The atmosphere was crazy because we actually, one of the reasons we were there is because there was death threats. There was people calling to the hospital like, we didn't finish the job, and we know what room he's in. So a lot of us would just stay up at the hospital like we were standing like guard. You know what I'm saying? Like we knew where his room was, so a lot of us was standing outside the room so nobody can drive by and shoot into the room. So it was that atmosphere. It was crazy, man. It was like people trying to sneak past us. We'll be sitting talking with each other, and we'll know somebody with a microphone. You know what I'm saying? Like we had to chase reporters away. It was wild. It was an unreal experience.
Did you see Tupac when he was in the hospital?
No, I don't like seeing people like that. Danny Boy went in there and sung his favorite song to him, which was "A Change Is Gonna Come." And he told me, he was like, man, it was crazy. Like you wouldn't even want to see him. You wouldn't even recognize him because they said like his head was like swole up like a pumpkin. Like you didn't even know it was him. He was so out of shape looking. And shit, I didn't want to see nothing like that. I don't like, hospital situations like that anyway.
Where were you when you heard that he passed away?
I just went to the mall and I kept getting, I had a pager. It was 96. I had a pager, and I kept getting the 911. The 911 that comes with the
411, 911.
Yeah, the 411. I kept getting that back to back to back. I wasn't even answering shit. And I'm like, what the f? Then I thought about it, I said, shit, Pac dead. That first thing came out, Pac's dead. So I called somebody, and was like, man, come up to the hospital right now, Pac's dead. So I went up to the hospital, and it was pandemonium at the hospital. You know what I mean? It was unreal, and because I had been around Pac long enough to care that much about a family and people that I know that were close to him that were up there. I was kind of protective of. You had I didn't understand the fans. You know what I'm saying? When you up around, like we were guarded. We didn't step outside of the death row camp situation, so we didn't understand how big Pac had actually became. So it was out of control once the fans came. Then you had people speaking on Pac like they knew him. Shit like that was kind of pissing me off because they were doing interviews with, all the news media. And I remember Hammer came and got me and told me to calm down because I was ready to fight the news media, get away from here. It was just out of control. And, we left the hospital and we went back to the hotel to go get, I forgot what we went to go get, but we were all we all later hooked back up with a Feeny. And it was crazy because there was a situation where everybody was all around and talking to press and shit, and she just jumped up and started saying stuff like, no, this is not the way it's supposed to be. They're always supposed to be acting like this. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, it was shocking because people who seen it was like, that's Pac. You know what I mean? It was she had Pac's spirit. But we seen where Pac got it from. You know what I mean? She was that person. And that was something that's a story many people probably have never told, but that's crazy to see a Feeny just take control like that and just become so animated like how Pac was animated.
Were you at the meeting at Suge Knight's house after they found out that he died?
Well, some days that went by, Suge came. We were staying at Suge's house in Vegas, which was right around the corner from Mike Tyson's house. And we were Suge came walking in, and it was again, all the depressed situation. He didn't talk much about the situation. We all went back to a guest room just to, Fire some chronic. Keisha Cole was with us, which is a whole nother story, which I didn't even go into that because she was only like 12, she'd been smoking. No, she wasn't smoking that, that's cool. Don't think about it, she was just there. She was there, you know.
A lot of people don't know that. Keisha Cole was 12 years old, and Suge was trying to sign her.
Well, actually, she came down with MC Hammer. She was from Oakland. Yeah, actually, she was going to be signed, you know what I mean? The deal hadn't worked through. Pac was crazy about her. You know, he wanted to have her sing on a lot of the new stuff. There's actually shit with her singing on. I guess people really don't know what real is on, but she sung on a lot of shit. She got a lot of material that's at death row, you know what I mean? You know, it took me a while to even figure out that was Keisha. Once she came out, you know what I mean? After like 2 or 3 songs, I'm like, Keisha, Kiki. That's Keisha. I was like, I felt the same way, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn, that was Keisha. But she was like 12 years old. She was around us, and she was in Vegas when it all went down. So, you know, we was, you know, just a real somber mode. And there were a lot of things going on out in L.A. that we didn't know about, and we were kind of kept away from that while we were in Vegas. A lot of people had already went back. So actually, Suge had went back. The day that I seen him come in the house, he went back to L.A. We stayed out in Vegas for maybe 3 or 4 more days, and we brought back the possessions that Pac had, like the jewelry, I believe the ashes. Yeah, we brought.
Did you look at the jewelry?
Oh yeah, I definitely looked at the jewelry. I was like, it was just weird because, okay, here's a person that I just seen, you know, a few days ago coming to Vegas with me, and now I'm coming back to Vegas, and all we got of him is this box and this bag of jewelry with blood on it. There was actually blood on the medallion. There was ring in there. You know, it was crazy.
Not to derail you, were you there for the meeting where Frank Alexander was asked about the shooting? Because Frank's told a lot of stories. He's told a lot of versions of that, and I just wanted to see an outsider's opinion on it.
That meeting was, like I said, it was like a typical death row. It started out like a typical death row meeting where Suge called us in his room back in the back of the studio, which he had built, which is the famous red room, I guess you want to call it, with the red carpet and the death row emblem in there. And, you know, he was sitting back smoking a cigar, and we started out talking about the whole thing, like how did everybody feel, you know. And then Suge said, I got something for y'all to see. And he starts playing the I Ain't Mad At You video, which I was at that video shoot, and I kind of forgot all about that song. I forgot all about the video. I never seen it. But it showed the video, and we was kind of like tripping because, like, damn, this actually didn't happen now. You know what I mean? He was like, you know, we're going to put this out as a single. What y'all feel about that? He was asking questions like that. From after that, females that were in the studio, he told all the females to leave the studio. I mean, to leave the room, just the guys can't stick around. And we got to talking about, you know, that night, you know what I mean? And Frank Alexander, he was the one that was saying that he think it was a police officer hit because of how the person who shot the gun, the way it was fired, it wasn't random. It was like a trained officer type shooting. You know, because the police have a certain way they shoot, a certain pattern. It's not like just grab a gun, pow, 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 pow. You know, it was like pow, 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 pow. However it was shot, it was that type of situation. And which is weird because I'm like, why the hell are you telling us this shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not investigating this shit. You know, I don't have nothing to do with it. I don't know why are we even talking about it. But that was weird. We just talked about that, and that was it.
What was the atmosphere like at Death Row when you finally got back to California?
Quiet. It was the studio wasn't the same. Man, you know what? The studio was never the same. Never the same. A lot of the Machiavelli stuff started to be worked on because they pushed that album out, which it wasn't supposed to be an album to begin with. Also, you know what? Also that meeting, Suge showed us the artwork for the album. That's another thing. He showed us the artwork for the album, the Machiavelli with Pac on the cross.
Risky Brent's artwork, right?
Yeah. Risky had drew that shit up real quick. Like, that album was, like, pushed out, like, fast. But it was all done. So,
Was it really recorded in 7 days?
you know, you have to ask Tyrone that, Hurt 'em Bad, or Harper. I don't know if nobody's in touch with Harper. You know, I'm in touch with Hurt 'em. I just talked to him the other day. I mean, with Hurt 'em Bad. But it could have. I mean, it was done fast. It was supposed to be like the equivalent of a mixtape today. It was going to be something that was going to be sold in swap meets, you know, mom and pop stores. It wasn't going to be a national commercial release. That was going to be One Nation. This was, I think, something to put for Pop to like vent all this frustration and get all that shit out there, then work on this new album.
Did you work on One Nation?
I had got music ready for One Nation because this is what was going on. When Hurt 'em Bad and D. Harper started working with Pac out of the so-called whack room, which is the green room, the new money room, the new sound. Like I said, if you go back and listen to M.o.b., M.o.b. didn't sound nothing like anything coming from Death Row Camp. That really had a Midwest sound if you listen to the drum pattern. Now, if you listen to the Machiavelli album, that sounded nothing like anything coming from the Death Row Camp.
Hurt 'em Bad had said that he wanted to make a new sound for that album.
His sound was automatically new and dope no matter what. What he wanted. All he had to do was be himself, and that was the sound that was going to come out of Hurt 'em Bad. And he and Harper had actually, you know, called me plenty of times to come to the studio, but I got to the point where I didn't even like working out of the studio. I was like working at the condo. I would be doing my stuff there, and I was actually gearing up because I had heard about the One Nation album. I knew that was going to be a national release, and me being more business-minded of what was going on at the studio, every day you're at that studio, that shit is charged to you. You're not working at the studio for free. You see what I'm saying? So you sitting there doing pre-production at the studio, that's being charged to you. So when you make any money, that you're going to have to pay for the time if you're in the studio. So that was my reason for not being at the studio. So I was working at the condo putting together music for One Nation album while they were working on the Machiavelli album. But in hindsight, dumb move. You know what I mean? I should have been right there with them dudes, and it would have been me, Hurt 'em Bad, and D. Harper with production all across the Machiavelli album. But I had material ready for the One Nation album.
All right. Sorry. Can you break down Bad Boy Killers for us?
Excuse me, say it one more time.
Could you break down Bad Boy Killers for us? Explain that recording.
Bad Boy Killers was me saying, okay, looking at, you know, Death Row and what we were always controversial. I looked at how Dr. Dre put stuff together. I studied how he did his thing, and he wasn't around anymore. So I was like, you know, that's missing from Death Row, that diss record, that competitive, Dre Day and those type of records were missing, like Fuck Eazy-E records, you know what I'm saying? It was, those competitive records was not there. So it's like, we already knew we had a problem with Bad Boy. People knew we had a problem with Bad Boy. Let's come out and diss Bad Boy.
Was this before
with Bad
Hit 'em
Boy
Up?
Killers. This was before Hit 'em Up. I was like, let's come out and diss Bad Boy. Just like there was a Death Row Killers that I think Ruthless had did it, you know, a while back. I said, let's do Bad Boy Killers. And let's take one more chance and remake it to where instead of where they're going, Biggie, Biggie, give me one more chance, let's have Biggie saying, Death Row, give me one more chance, give me one more chance. You know what I mean? And let's cater it around that. And we had we're going to put some new artists on that we were dealing with because we knew we were going to get dog pound on that one. We called the Outlaws in. Outlaws dropped on it. Pac actually dropped on it. Devontae spit some stuff on it about Puffy because, he had a problem with Puffy at the time. So that was the Bad Boy Killers record. The next day, the next day or a day or two, Pac came out with Hit 'Em Up, and he was shouting out Bad Boy Killers. So I really feel that record was the influence for Hit 'Em Up.
Do you know whatever happened to the recording?
Okay, this is something that I was trying to get Idiot Wide Awake to understand. When they got access to the reels, I was telling them, look, this is what we used to do. Because people would come and get your reel. There was nobody at Can-Am, there was nobody that was over the room where we kept all your reels. So somebody can come get your reel and record on it, do whatever they want to do with it, and you would never know. So to protect your music, I was like, let's put songs at different points in the reel. Like, say the song might say, let's say, I'm going to use Danny Boy for example. It might be Danny Boy Slip and Slide. But later, 10 minutes into the reel, will be Bad Boy Killers. But we would never label Bad Boy Killers on that reel. So there's hidden material on reels that people don't even know about. And I started to see other engineers do the same thing, because a lot of times you wouldn't record just one song on a reel. You record 2 or 3 songs on a reel, but you wouldn't label that the other songs were on that reel. Only you would know that shit was on there. And I think a lot of songs are like that. Like m.o.b. didn't pop up till, 2001? That fucking reel stayed going from 95 to 2001. And the crazy thing about that is, I think I talked to you about this before, in 97 when the whole Death Row shit went to bottle, with the boom, with the feds coming in, and then, Suge being locked up, and then I think Suge didn't have the people around him that he trusted, so he only used the people that he trusted to run the label, and the damn security guard and the dog trainer was running Death Row.
Talking about Dog Man.
Yeah, and you know what I'm saying? How stupid is, Bow Wow's mom calls up the label to discuss her son's deal, and they're like, who the hell is Bow Wow? You know what I mean? You allow Bow Wow to leave the label to go Jermaine Dupri and become a megastar? That's how stupid things were. You know what I'm saying? So, what was my point? That took me to a whole other level, 97. But
I had a question. So there was an issue with people taking reels while Tupac was still alive.
They weren't taking his reels. His reels. I wouldn't say his reels, because his reels were like gold. He should have had those with him or something. I've never seen those reels in the studio. But stuff that he got on. You know what I mean? Where like he dropped the verse and nobody knew he came to the studio and dropped that verse on that particular song. But in 97, when the Fed came and all that, and motherfuckers was running up in Can-Am taking shit, like motherfuckers was going getting reels. Like I heard Nate Dogg went and got his whole catalog out the studio.
What was the situation with Daz? Do you know what the falling out was there?
Probably most likely money, and the fact that Suge wanted Daz to really concentrate on being a producer. And I think Daz wanted to be an artist, and Daz had plans. Daz had plans, you know what I'm saying? Daz had a camp of people. He had Crooked Eye. He had people that he was ready to bring to the label And, I guess for that, he wanted to be compensated for that, which is, I mean, if you look at business, that's what you're supposed to do.
You had talked to me earlier about briefly leaving Death Row. Why did you come back to work for Death Row?
Well, that was a 97 situation where it's like you had the dog trainer running the label and a security guard running the label who I didn't really have any relationship whatsoever. So just imagine if Bow Wow was kicked to the curb where people were like, who are you? I don't even know you. You know what I'm saying? You're not on Death Row Records. Imagine what it would be like for me. So I can call the office, but I wasn't going to get a meeting. It was like, we don't know you. I'm like, wow, I'm out. You know what I mean? What actually got me back in was like, I decided, you know what, I'm going to write Suge. Man, I wrote him like a 15-page letter explaining exactly how I felt about shit, about what was going down with the label, you know what I mean? And then I found out that an artist that I had did some tracks for had got signed, and one of the reasons he got signed because of the production, and he got a good deal. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you how crazy that shit was. The artist that got signed, which was Chocolate Bandit, he got signed to Death Row, and with the money he got signed with, he turned around and paid me $10,000 to fly to Texas and do 3 songs for his album. And I had actually left Death Row. That's what I'm saying. He actually called me and paid me to come do some songs for him, for his album. And I seen how much money he had got from Death Row. I'm like, I'm the reason why you even got this money. It was my music. Who took credit for my music? And somehow the Dog Man and Reggie Moore took credit and thought they were doing a good thing and signed this dude. And I guess Suge told Suge about their new signing, and Suge got behind it. And when I wrote Suge found out that I was one of the reasons that dude's music was as hot as it was. Next thing you know, he was like, man, fly me to go visit him. So he flew me in to go visit him up at the prison. We sat and chopped it up, and he was like, all that shit is behind, and my whole position at Death Row was totally different when I came back. Like, I was answering to Suge only. I bypassed the Dog Man and all these other different people, which, that's going to create a lot of animosity because all of a sudden here I am back again, better than even before.
And you were there till about 2000, 2001, correct?
Yeah, I was there till 2001. I tried to, save the artists that were being signed. There were actually some good dudes being signed. Like, Doobie was incredible. He could have been the first down south dude to really blow big, you know what I mean? And I was telling shit about Master P and No Limit and this new sound and this new movement that was coming. I was trying to get a label to be able to, handle that new sound and which was a fight, you know what I mean, to begin with. It's just like before I left, I had a group that I got signed to Universal, and I didn't do it behind. This is like I tell you how I operate. I was one who said, man, that's your money. Go ahead and do it. These are different stories that people don't hear about shit. You know what I mean? He allowed me to go make some money signing the group. The thing that tripped him out was when I told him the deal situation with the group, he was like, it was $1 million deal. And he couldn't understand, like, how did you get $1 million deal? What did you do? Did you give him some talk verses or something? He was tripping because he was like, you even got $1 million deal. And I was trying to tell him, shit, I'm pretty damn good. You know what I mean? A lot of the material that you're hearing is just because I got to deal with these artists that you have on the label, and this is what they want. I got other stuff that you're not even hearing that people are holding back from you from hearing. He never got a chance to hear that material, and that's the material I went and got to deal with at Universal. That situation allowed me to leave the label.
I got 2 more for you, Kurt. Real quick, why did Danny Boy not have a record deal at first? That blows my mind. Danny Boy's one of my favorite artists on Death Row. He had talked about carrying around $1 million in a briefcase. Is that true?
Yeah. Danny was the man, you know what I'm saying, at Death Row. I mean, that he had one of the best. Like when I first got there, his album was pretty much done, and I was blown away when I heard his album, because I thought I was going to come in and be like, let me, come in there. I kind of ego. Let me come in there and help Danny with this project, because I know he's an R&B dude. Man, I heard his album. I was like, God, this album's hot. I think it was a timing thing, They was waiting to put it out. I mean, you got to understand, man, everybody that Death Row had was set to come out had an album that would have went platinum at the time of, when Dre was there and when everything was, like, just incredible. Dog Pound had an album that went platinum. Rage could have came out. If she came out at the right time, she would have went with platinum. I mean, who else? I mean, everybody. Sam Snead could have went platinum on that. I heard his album. His album was incredible, too. I mean, everybody had an incredible album that could have went platinum just by putting it out. And Danny Boy's album was one of those albums.
I think that's the biggest travesty, to tell you the truth, that album never got to come out under a proper release. It's just my opinion.
Well, it's just the Tupac getting shot. His album was built up. They had promoted him enough on the Tupac album, to get his name out there. And like if, on the Welcome to Death Row, you heard Tupac say, man, your album going to come out, you're going to go platinum plus, It was being built up. I mean, his singles, he had, the song with Babyface. I mean, it's just 97 was the year that destroyed Danny Boy, was when, the RICO thing and the feds took over and Suge went to jail and they was trying to shut Death Row completely down. The distribution, whoever was distributing the label, they backed out of the deal. I mean, that was just a bad time and that hurt everybody. Even, Suge's friends.
Is it true that Death Row moved to the Bahamas for a short period of time?
Yeah, we were moving everything over to the Bahamas just to get away from all of the BS. This was 96. This was like November. We had like albums set to go. They were going to finish up Danny Boy's album. We finished up a Christmas album, which did come out. And Death Row Greatest Hits, I believe, some parts of Death Row Greatest Hits was created. Was done over there. So, yeah, the whole thing was being moved. The equipment was being shipped over there. All the reels were over at the Bahamas. And Can-Am was completely dead.
How did you feel when the bootleg started coming out in 1997, 1998?
It was kind of weird because, a lot of those songs I hadn't even heard myself because I didn't realize he was recording that much. He was at the studio. He was there doing 3, 4, 5, 6 songs a day. You didn't hear them all. But I was kind of amazed that people had access to that stuff. I wasn't surprised because, like I said, I know people had went and got reels and, there were DATs laying around sometimes, and I just didn't understand how much stuff was getting leaked. Like, there was, like, volume 1, then next thing there was number 2, there was, like, really 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, with all different material on there. And I was always waiting for m.o.b. I was like, when the f*** is m.o.b. going to leak? That's when I knew something was weird. Like, that reel is hid because nobody had access to that.
Well, for the longest time, fans thought it was a rumored song. We didn't even know that it was a real song.
Really?
Yeah, that's true. We had no idea. There's a list of them, and we never knew if that was real or not until it leaked, until they put it on the album. It leaked.
Right, I was supposed to do 6 songs on that until the end of time, but and Daz can verify this because I met Daz out in New York at the studio that I was recording with the group that I got signed to Universal, and that was a weird situation again because the person that was running the label Death Row actually didn't even tell me that I was supposed to do 6 songs on the album. They tried to keep me from finding out the information. And because I was just, a cool dude, somebody at Interscope actually told me, dude, we got m.o.b. up here. And I'm like, oh, y'all found it? They was like, yeah. And they was like, but guess what? Your label is trying to say you didn't even produce it. And I'm like, what? It's like, wait, my own label is saying that I didn't produce it? It's like, yeah, we had to pull out the track sheets and there your name is signed. You know what I mean? Like, and then there was people verified, like, yeah, Kurt did that. So,
what other songs would we be surprised that you did, that you produced of 2pac?
I mean, the Bad Boy Killer really would be the main thing. I don't know where the hell it is. I wish I could go through the reels. I could probably find it before anybody else can find it. I wouldn't be able to tell you, because I mean, we recorded so much material and it was like forgotten about.
All right. I wanted to ask you this, and I'll edit it in the beginning, but you just had a little quick story about it, and I wanted to throw it in. Were you at the Death Row Christmas party when Mark Anthony Bell was assaulted?
Yeah, I was at that party, but I wasn't around that situation because, I mean, this was a celebration. Dre was there. You know, this is like the last time I seen Dre, Suge, and Pac all together. Everybody was having fun. It didn't seem like nothing bad was happening like that. You know what I mean? But really, why the hell would you even be there if you're associated with Bad Boy at this time of the year? You know, I mean, obviously there was some beef. Well, maybe he didn't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but I don't even understand what
he even said so.
Say it again?
He said so himself, that he'd already been threatened before the party. He came out in Vibe or something and said that he had already received threats and they were trying to get Puffy's address. So, according to his statement, he knew when he went to the Death Row Christmas party that there was animosity.
I mean, what did he feel? He felt like he was untouchable. I mean, that was the stupidest thing on the planet. You know, even myself, when I started to feel like the closer it seemed like for Suge to get out, it seemed like I was having more and more people create animosity like that, like going telling Suge this, it's the same shit that was happening to Hurt 'em Bad. Like when he said that Pac was working with him, people were running telling Suge, oh man, Hurt 'em Bad's not trying to work with us, Hurt 'em Bad's doing this, Hurt 'em Bad's doing this, Hurt 'em Bad this, Hurt 'em Bad that, to turn Suge against Hurt 'em Bad. I started noticing the same thing with me. I started noticing every week it got from me going up there talking about the business of death row to defending myself against something somebody then came and told him. And once I seen that, I knew the pattern. I said, oh, I'm next. You know what I mean? I said, okay, before it gets to this point, I'm going to take the money I have. Anything that belongs to death row, they can have it back. I don't need it. I don't want it. So you can't be like I took something and ran. You know what I mean? And I just like, you know, Suge told me once he got out, he was going to give me this huge house and cars and all these different things. I was like, shit, I don't want that stuff. You know what I mean? That all comes with, somebody's calling my line, that all comes with a price. And if I didn't earn it, you know what I mean? Like I said, I know the business, like, you know, TLC, these videos, you know, this shit costs. The studio costs. The more money you put up, the more money you got to pay back. So I don't want those things. I want to earn it. So I just left. No warning, no nothing, just left. Never talked to nobody from Death Row again. The last person I talked to Suge, you know, New Year's Eve or something like that a few years ago. It was no animosity, no nothing. I think he was just really like where the hell did this dude go? You know, a lot of people were like that. I heard I was dead. You know, I didn't heard play stuff. I went so underground, you know what I mean? Like, and I didn't disrespect the contract that I had with Death Row. I didn't go sign a production deal with anybody. I didn't go do a publishing deal. I waited till those deals were up, you know, before I started to resurface. I did stuff under the table, you know what I mean, like money under the table because I got to survive, but I didn't really do no major deals. So now, you know, those situations are behind me, so that's why I'm doing deals now.
Now that Wide Awake is selling its catalog, will you try to get in with the new company and see what you can do about finding some songs and maybe adding some production?
Yeah, I mean, if they were smart, I mean, I told Wide Awake the same things, you know what I'm saying? I told them, like, how to find stuff, and they just didn't pay attention to shit. You know what I mean? They wanted me to come in. I even told them I had Dr. Dre's drum sounds from that era of music that I can go in and tighten up a lot of the sounds that, you know, because a lot of stuff was like how we would do it. We would like lay down a dummy track, and then you go back in and tighten up the drum tracks and stuff like that. I was going to tell them about the process, you know, and I can go in and fix a lot of that shit. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to pay nobody. If they wanted you to do it, they want you to come do it for free.
What's next for Kurt Kobane?
Next for Kurt Kobane is my label, Hit Asylum, which I'm running it with a partner, Kevin Daniels. But it's like it's a label, it's a production company, you know, with film, TV, music placements, and this book deal. But this book is not going to be, you know, geared upon the negative of death row, because nobody talks about. One thing nobody's ever talked about was the creative process of how we made hit records. Nobody has been able to do what we were able to do with records, you know what I mean? And like Dre's secret, Dre don't talk, so he's not gonna write a book and tell you his secret techniques and stuff like that. And I learned them, you know what I mean? Like I was a student of everything while I was at Death Row. It was like college. You know, I'm there with some of the top engineers. I'm learning exactly what knobs to turn, how did Dre do this? You know, that stuff is invaluable information. I was around Jimmy Iovine. You know, stuff that he does today, I know what he's doing, even how he runs Interscope. And then the stuff that Suge, you know, taught me and schooled me on in the music business. I mean, all this stuff is invaluable. You know what I mean? You can't get this information anywhere, and I'm going to put it in a book.
In hindsight, do you feel that you had a fair deal with Death Row Records?
Yeah. Yes and no. Because the day I went to the studio, Shane told me to go up to the office, get my paperwork right. I got a basic publishing deal. You know what I mean? Production deal, $250,000. Those are basic deals. The terms of the deals, the length of the deals, that's where I didn't negotiate. You know what I mean? Like I had an incredibly long production deal. But at the time, you got to think about how big this label was, and it didn't seem like it was ever going to end. So it was like I wouldn't want to leave this situation anyway. So I feel I got a fair deal, and the people who didn't get a fair deal, you got to understand, a lot of these people didn't even understand publishing. I knew about publishing when I came to the label. I knew about studio, you know, you're not in the studio for free. Every day you're in there, you're getting charged. So you can kick it for a month, and guess what? You got $15,000 bill hanging over your head when it comes time for you to get paid. I got royalty checks. A lot of people never even seen a royalty check from Death Row. I have. You know, so, and also, you know, Death Row never had a publishing department. I found that out like in about 2000 when we were trying to get publishing right. And they found out that there's money in limbo because they don't know who to pay it to because nobody did the publishing administration. So when a lot of people complained that they didn't get paid, it wasn't Death Row's fault. It was more their fault for not taking care of the business. And considering at times we wasn't even putting out material, I was still getting a check every month. I was getting advances every month, but I made sure that my advances didn't get out of control. So like it was a situation I was well taken care of.
Do you feel at this point, after all of the releases and the failed release of Loyal to the Game, do you feel that there is a good quality 2Pac album still left to be made?
Man, hell yes. But we got to do it. I'm going to tell you right now who got to do it. Me. Heard him. Me, heard him bad. Some of the guys that were involved with Me Against the World. And it can't be, yeah, it can't be just because you were involved with it. We got to produce quality material. You know what I'm saying? It can't, like I'm saying myself, we all got to sit down at a table and we got to have somebody that, like the Outlaws. And Outlaws got to be involved with it. We got to sit down and make a real Pac album. Just like I made the m.o.b. and I catered it toward Pac style to the point where he picked that beat out because it was him. We are the people that got to do this album. And we can't make it sound like it was made in 1996 either. We got to bring it up to date. So we got to be good producers now. We just can't rely on the fact that we work with Pac. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And we would turn out the best Pac album that has ever been put out since Machiavelli or All Eyes on Me, or Me Against the World. And they better have a movie. They better have a movie set because this album is going to bring Pac back to relevance. You know what I mean? Even with the younger crowd who now, because they only heard the bullshit, you got to argue with them that Pac was even good. They be like, oh, man, that dude sucked. You know what I mean? Like, what? But they heard that Eminem album. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a lot of fans hate that album. I hate it.
I mean, they heard that Eminem produced album. The kids was like 12 and, 11 and 14. They never heard the real Pac. They don't even understand what that shit is about. So that's up to y'all, man. Y'all gotta push that. I'm being talked to Hurting Bad about it, real soon. That we gotta push for this. At least give us the opportunity. I mean, Johnny J ain't here no more, so you can't get Johnny J. That was been another person I would say definite.
Did you ever get to work alongside him?
Johnny J? Yeah, but we were different types of producers. Like he sampled. You know what I mean? Everything he did came from a record. So all he would do was loop, get a sample, loop it, and give it to Pac. And then later on, after Pac played the verse, they go in and add new instrumentation on top of the sample or whatever. But I pretty much do everything original. I didn't sample anything. Everything was straight from my head. No paying anybody else publishing. And that's another thing. All those songs on All Eyes on Me had to be paid for. And if you're the producer, you're the one who has to cut that bill, fit that bill. So, I heard Johnny J in some money situations, Pac fell out, but at the same time, who paid for those samples that he used on damn near every song?
Yeah, I noticed that Johnny J's not on the Machiavelli album as prevalent as, like, let's say All Eyes on Me. What was the falling out, or can you explain that?
They fell out. It had to be a falling out over money. And I don't think it was more of a falling out with Pac. It was more probably a falling out with Death Row. And because Pac was Death Row, he had to take side, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know it went from Johnny J was the coolest on the planet with everybody to Johnny J, you know what I'm saying? And it was out of nowhere.
And that was coming from Pac's camp?
Yeah, I heard a few outlaws say it, which I never, really got into it. But I knew it was about money. Johnny J wanted some money, or felt he would do some money. I don't even know if he even got paid, you know what I'm saying, for All Eyes on Me.
I think he had to sue. Last question, Kurt.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite memory of Tupac?
Bowling and realizing that this dude can't play one ounce of sports. Like, we went to a bowling alley, which was crazy, and this was at the height of, I would say this was like in the summer, 96, so, Pac was a mega star at this point. Hammer, this was with us. It was Pac, Suge, Hammer, Mary J. Blige, and Misa. I believe that's her name. It was his puffy baby mama. She had the blonde hair.
Yeah.
Justin's mom, which was, just think about that.
What was she doing there?
We got Puffy's baby mama. And I think she was with Suge, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. We was like, that was some gangster shit going on, like taking people's girls and shit, like Faith Evans, you know what I'm saying? When I seen her in the studio, like, what the Faith Evans in this bitch? But
she denies it all day long. Was there a chemistry between her and Pac? Did you see a chemistry? Or was it pretty much known?
you ever seen a drunk female before?
Oh, yeah.
That's like hanging on everybody? That's the chemistry that I seen. So I don't know where it went, but I know when you see situations like that, you be like, she's going on with that person tonight. You know what I mean? So I don't, what the was she doing there? She known better, you know. But but like I said, I've seen situations like that all the time. Where like Misha was, you know, Misha or whatever her name was, she was there with Suge, but she was with Mary J. Blige, and to this day, them two are best friends. You know what I'm saying? So we were all bowling, you know, and I was like, this is unreal. I'm sitting here bowling with 2pac's, Mary J. Blige, Suge Knight, MC Hammer, and Puffy's baby mama. And it was like a few, and there wasn't really nobody in the bowling alley because we were there real late. But the few people that noticed was like taking pictures. They wanted pictures of Hammer. And just watching Pac bowl was like the funniest shit in the world. Cause he was all slew foot and shit, and he was like, he had the fastest gutter ball I ever seen in my life. You know what I'm saying? It was like soon as it doesn't leave your hand, it was in the gutter. Like, I was like, man, this dude definitely got to stick to rapping. You know what I'm saying? That's the most memorable thing, because you can't get that, and nobody has that. Nobody can talk about that. Most people you talk about don't even have those type of memories. They got studio memories.
Yeah.